So how about we do something on Moses Druxman, Keith Morlock, and the development and what people stand to gain from this whole um, huge, huge amount of money involved in this thing. 600 acres, 5 houses per acre, 2,500 homes, 10,000 people. Um, I wanted to talk about Moses because I think people don't quite recognize his big scheme and his big plan. Let's be really honest, because the reality is he not only is the fire chief, he just got his law certification, so he's a law enforcement officer, and he has his real estate license. So you do the math. It's pretty obvious he stands to make a lot of money off this development if it comes in here. Plus, I think he wants to be kind of the next boss hog of Reno. I think that he wants to be the police chief and fire chief, and maybe run for mayor. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I'm just saying there's he has a lot of ambition. He always has. I'll give him that. He's got a lot of ambition. I just don't know if his ethics are in the right place with what he's doing. I don't think so. I because if you look at what's going on with Reno and Briar together, okay, he gets $670,000 a year from Tarrant County ESD1 as a contract only. He's not part of ESD1. He's a contractor. And so they give him this money, and it's to cover the expenses for Briar. It was never designed to be for two stations. And so he's been bridging the gap in funding because Reno only gives him 350, give or take, thousand a year. And that involves our tax money and as well as our $5 donation on your water bill. And so it comes out somewhere around 350-ish. But the bottom line is it's not enough, not even close to enough to support two stations. And so he's trying to bridge that gap with that 670. Well, he's underfunding Reno, and then he's at the expense of the other station. And the bottom line is if he'd just taken the money from Tarrant and went to Briar and started a station over there, he had plenty of funding. Plus, he would have got the contract with Pelican Bay. And so he could have done really well on that. But instead, he's trying to create this two-station ESD idea, which the county said no. He doesn't have enough funding to stand on its own as an ESD 10 in Reno. See, that's the thing, is the county, it's in Parker County, the ESD. So it has to be able to stand alone on its own in Parker County's funding. So 350,000, it's actually 310 if you do the 10 on 100, which they're giving him 13 on the 100. The city is right now. And so, it's not enough money. And so, what he's basically hoping for, and that's what all these people are, is this development's just all of a sudden going to be this panacea. And, maybe in 5 years, they'll start seeing some money out of it. I'm not saying they won't ever, but it's not going to do what they're hoping, I don't think, not even close. Because most of your monies are made in cities are made on sales taxes, not on property taxes. Now, I grant you, 5 houses per acre, 2,500 homes is a lot of property taxes. But, they're talking 10 to 15 years down the road to complete this project. It's that big. And just imagine the mess that's going to go into this. Not only just the building of it and flattening that land over there and bulldozing it all flat, but then you've got all the traffic, 10,000 people worth of traffic, 2 cars per household. It's crazy, and they're throwing everything into this to save something that this should never, if it had never existed, then it might have come. And like I say, the development is probably coming. I don't think there's any way it's probably going to stop, but I think that in the county, there must be something that's a little more problematic for them, or they wouldn't have tried so hard to get the city on board with this. And I think that they're going to use the police and the fire department because it's in the city limits without having to pay an additional tax to the county. See, because if they go into the county, they have to pay for their fire protection through ESD1 and a contract because they're an entity like, a district. So they're their own entity. It's not In other words, just like with the city, they're their own separate, almost like a city. And so for fire protection, they have to pay the county if they don't have a city. Well, if the city exists and they're in the city limits, then they'll get the fire protection for free. It'll be part of the normal city taxes. The same with the police. You keep a mom and pop police force on hand, and you basically have a free police force. Now, if they have to go to the county, and they're going to have to pay for that through a contract with the sheriff's department. So now you've got to pay that, and that means that goes as a tax against the people who buy the houses because they create this thing called a mud tax, and it pays for the infrastructure. Well, part of that will be paying for fire and police, and if they go to the county. And so that, I think, is why they're so adamant about staying in the city. Anyway, so that was a very long, drawn out story, but the bottom line is that there's a whole bunch going on between this development and a lot of different people. And I've tried to figure out a lot of this, and I can't make connections, and I didn't dig far enough into who the investors are. Um, but anyway, and the last thing I wanted to mention is Keith Morlock, which everybody's afraid of that guy's name. Even, I mean, he's sent out cease and desist letters to countless people I know that are part of disincorporation just for talking about him in any way, shape, or form and saying he doesn't live in Reno. He does not live in Reno. He has never lived in Reno. He owns some land he bought from the Morrow family, and it's close to the school over there. And I think it somehow ties into his idea that he's going to use it to build a water treatment facility, because that's part of his thing is he sells water treatment facilities to oil and gas mainly. It sounds like that's what he claims, but I think there's a tie into this because there's no way a man who has it just owns 40 acres is going to make a whole bunch of money off of that if there's not something else going on. And so this whole development ties into all of this. And the thing that bothers me the most is so many people are on his good side, or they're his mouthpiece. Nathan Davis is his mouthpiece. It looks like Tyler Whitsome, or I think he owns the Reno group. It's like when I talk to these folks and we have a conversation, it just is like he's reading from a bullet points list that Morlock gave him. I mean, it's the craziest crap. He's got Vogel on it, he's friends with her. They all have a key to his property to go over there and recreate on it and whatever they do over there. And so they can go use his property. Well, it's just really weird that they don't like outsiders in Reno, but for some reason, this guy, this Californicator, he lives in like Cucamonga, or I can't remember where it is, California, and yet they accept him and they let him manipulate them to believe that this is so great of an idea, this development, and it's just weird to me, the level of control, and it's like brainwashing. I mean, it blows me away, the amount of control and power he has over these people. I don't see what they all have to gain from it. I mean, all I see is a whole bunch of people and a whole bunch of cars. I don't see, I mean, I didn't buy this house to like think of it like an investment, like I guess these rest of these people do. I mean, of course it's an investment, but I'm just saying, not like that. It seems like most people's whole idea about houses now is just to invest in it short time and move on and keep moving up into bigger houses and whatever. So anyway, I just thought the whole thing with Keith Morlock was very strange. I don't quite know what his tie into all this is. Like I said, I think it's a water treatment facility, and the land that he owns, and because it's by the school, then he could use the water treatment facility as part of the school, which then they could tie into the development. There's all kinds of ideas. I don't know what it is, honestly, but the bottom line is it's just very strange, all the control he has over the council. I mean, and he was let into the city and let to get into our computer systems over there. And I don't know what all he did, but he knows a lot of stuff about a lot of people. And I think it's because he was allowed to go in there and manipulate the computer system because he's got a background with IT. But man, there's just some real concern I have about him and his involvement in all of this, because he's into this thick, and he doesn't live here. And you can find him he owns the War Group. Okay, that's him. We are Reno, and the one that's we are all Reno. That's him. And there is all kinds of dirty politics going on over there. Anyway, the bottom line is he just has a lot of undue influence in this community, and I don't understand it. Why these people trust him so much? You know, I'm a lightning rod, and I upset people because I just think what's going on is terrible. I think it's crazy. You know, we go from 3,500 people to 1,300, 500 people. That's not normal. That's not natural. That's not the way growth's supposed to work. And so it's just a mess. But anyway, I'm going on and rambling now. I just wanted to bring that up about the future. And, you know, really, Reno's going to, no, it's really not going to be Reno at all anymore. It's going to be controlled by this developer. I mean, and all those people that move in here, they'll get on the council and they'll have a lot of influence. And so we can forget about having farm animals and all that. I can guarantee you that's going to go away pretty damn quick. Shooting, forget it. I mean, there's enough people now that don't like the shooting, but there's big enough properties, plenty over 10 acres, that can do shooting and it's legal. And I have no issue with it. I think it's good. I mean, this is the country. I want the country. I don't want to be another Watonga or whatever, you know, Alito, outside of Alito's, you know, another one of these muds. Anyway, so I'm rambling now. I'll let y'all go. Thanks for listening. And please, tomorrow's early voting starts the 22nd. Get out there and let's vote. Let's make a difference. Thanks.